A viewer has suggested I do a video on insect-borne disease in Colombia, and I'm going to give you some insight into what I found with my research. A shout out to him because I think it's an important topic. My name is William Hutchison. I own, along with my wife, Armenia Colombia Realty for Expats in Armenia, Colombia, where we deal primarily with expats that have an interest in Colombia, either to come here to rent, to investigate the opportunities here. The cost of living very low, the lifestyle very good, the country beautiful, rated number 3 in the world by Forbes magazine, behind Indonesia and New Zealand. I want to start off with saying that the numbers are in some cases very far apart. And these are diseases transmitted by mosquitoes. Mosquitoes have killed more people than every world in history. That's an eye-opening number. And the deaths every year are staggering. They're into the millions. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention calls mosquitoes the world's deadliest animal. I'm not sure they're an animal, but let's go with that for now. They cause 700,000 deaths worldwide every year. They say that there's 500 million cases. 90% of the deaths are in Africa. Speaking of statistics, mosquitoesreview.com says that there are 2.7 million deaths. So the U.S. Center for Disease Control and mosquitoereview.com are 2 million apart. The mosquitoereview.com says there's 4 times the number of deaths that the U.S. Center for Prevention of Control and Prevention of Disease says there are. 90% of the deaths are in Africa, and a similar number of cases are there as well. 50%, a little over 50% of the cases are in 4 countries. They are in Niger, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, and Niger. Nigeria alone has 31.3% of the deaths that occurred in 2021. 619,000 people died of 241 million cases. Many were children or adults over 60. That's kind of the general outlook. The subject is pretty dry. I spent 2 hours researching, and it's eye-opening for sure. But the big positive is there's very little of this in Colombia. The only stat that I could find was on Zika. There's 6 deadly diseases. They are malaria, yellow fever, Zika, chikungunya, dengue, and one other one that I hadn't heard of. Colombia in 2022 had 138 cases of Zika in a population of about 52 or 53 million people. I don't know what the percentage is, I didn't work it out, but I know it's going to be a 1 preceded by a bunch of zeros for your risk factor for Zika. The one thing I would mention, there was a lot of talk about malaria and yellow fever. A lot of articles about those 2 things. And as a general comment, those 2 seem to be the most frequent diseases that people can contact. I don't know what this means for the individual, but my advice would be to do the research yourself, decide what injections you need, what areas of Colombia you would want to visit, because most of the cases and the comments that I found were the fact that the cases of mosquito-borne disease occurred in certain areas. For example, if you're going to Amazonas or maybe one of the national parks, they're recommended. On the other hand, the cities were deemed ultra safe. So, for example, if you were coming here and just going to the cities, maybe you don't need the vaccinations. But certainly if you're going close to the Amazon, the coastal regions in Colombia as well were mentioned. Even though Cartagena, that is on the coast, was deemed ultra safe. So it seems to me that the cities trump the area that they're in. The other thing was that any place elevation, I think it was over 2,000 meters, is deemed safe because the mosquitoes can't live there. I think the decision is yours. You need to decide where you're going to be, what injections you would need to have, but do the research. Some of the injections have to be days or maybe even a week or so before you come for it to be in effect by the time you get here. There is information. I could have researched this, I think, for 10 hours. And I don't know that I would have come up with numbers that are any different. But thanks to the viewer for sending me the topic. It's important. I think it's important that you decide before you come here. I'm obviously not a doctor and I can't help you. But I think if you get your numbers together and speak to your doctor, he would be able to help you with that decision. William Hutchison, Armenia, Colombia Realty for Expats. I live in paradise. You can too.